turning rejection into a stepping stone to success. Today, we're diving into one of the most challenging aspects of life, rejection. It's something that every man faces, whether it's in dating, business, or personal goals. But what separates those who rise above it from those who let it hold them back? How can you turn rejection from a setback into a stepping stone to greatness? By the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the tools, mindset, and real-life strategies that can transform your perspective on rejection and use it as fuel for personal growth. But here's the kicker. I'm also going to reveal the #1 secret to handling rejection like a pro. And trust me, it's something that will change the way you approach not just rejection, but life itself. So stick with me all the way to the end. It's going to be worth it. Before we jump in, I want you to think about this question. What's your first reaction when you face rejection? Do you crumble, or do you bounce back stronger? That's what we're going to discuss today. Rejection is an inevitable part of life, but it's important to understand what it truly is and how it works. In the world we live in today, we're constantly putting ourselves out there, whether that's asking someone out, pitching a business idea, or simply trying to make new connections. When we get rejected, it feels personal, but here's a key point. Rejection isn't a judgment of your worth as a man. It's not a reflection of who you are, but of the situation or the person involved. You've got to separate your identity from the outcomes you face. Let me take you back to when I was first learning to handle rejection. Early on, I used to take it so personally. If I faced a setback, whether it was being turned down by a potential business partner or getting rejected by someone I was interested in, I thought that somehow reflected my value as a person. The truth is, rejection is simply part of the process. Everyone faces it. The key is how you handle it. Rejection triggers a complex emotional response. When we face rejection, our brains release stress hormones like cortisol, which can make us feel anxious, angry, or defeated. But did you know that this reaction is wired into our biology? Thousands of years ago, being rejected from the tribe could have meant death or survival. So our brains are hardwired to treat rejection as a life-threatening event. This might sound extreme, but understanding this gives you the power to overcome it. Rejection feels like a hit to your self-esteem because your brain is primed to see it as a threat. However, in modern society, rejection isn't a death sentence. It's simply an opportunity to learn, grow, and move forward. The first step in handling rejection is recognizing this. Once you realize that your brain is just doing its job by releasing stress hormones, you can learn how to control it rather than let it control you. Now let's get into the real meat of handling rejection effectively. Here are the 4 steps I've personally used and shared with other men to turn rejection into something productive. It's easy to try and avoid or suppress the feelings that rejection brings. The truth is, you need to feel those emotions. Denying them only makes them stronger. The trick is not letting them define you. Acknowledge the hurt, but then let it go. Understand that rejection is an event. It's not a permanent state. When I first started in business, I faced rejection after rejection. The first few times, it hit me hard. I doubted my abilities, and the more I let those feelings take root, the more I doubted myself. But with time, I learned to simply say, okay, that was tough. What can I learn from this? This mindset shift helped me avoid getting stuck in a negative cycle. Rejection isn't about you, it's about the situation or the other person. When you get rejected, it's not because you're not good enough. It's often because the timing isn't right or the other person's priorities are elsewhere. Once you understand that, rejection loses its power. There was a time in my life when I was rejected by someone I was really interested in. I spent days analyzing everything I did wrong, asking myself what I could have done better. But in reality, the rejection wasn't about me. It was about her needs at that moment. Once I shifted my perspective and stopped internalizing her decision, I was able to move on faster and learn from the experience. Every time you get rejected, there's an opportunity to grow. You can reframe the situation as a chance to improve yourself, whether that's developing better communication skills, improving your approach, or simply understanding what didn't work. Every setback is an opportunity for growth. I remember the first time I started seriously focusing on self-improvement. I was rejected by a business opportunity that I thought would change everything for me. Instead of seeing it as a failure, I started seeing it as an opportunity to refine my approach. I took the lessons from that rejection and worked on developing a more solid plan. It wasn't easy, but that setback ultimately set me up for a bigger success down the road. One of the most powerful tools you can have in your arsenal is resilience. This is the ability to bounce back, and you develop resilience through consistent action. Every time you face rejection and keep moving forward, you're building mental toughness. When I was building my business, I faced multiple rejections, investors, clients, you name it. But I kept showing up. I kept refining my pitch, learning new skills, and reaching out. Every rejection wasn't a brick wall, it was a stepping stone. The more you fail, the more resilient you become, but only if you keep taking action. At this point in the video, you've already learned a lot about how to process rejection and how to shift your mindset. But there's one secret that will change the way you approach rejection and, by extension, life itself. Are you ready for it? Here it is. Rejection is not a reflection of who you are. It is a natural part of the journey toward success, and how you respond to it defines your path forward. Let that sink in for a moment. Rejection is not a judgment of your value as a person. It is a signal, a clue that you're on the right path and pushing your boundaries. The secret lies in the way you view rejection. Instead of seeing it as a dead end or a defeat, you can begin to view it as a feedback mechanism, a necessary part of the process that helps you grow and get closer to your goals. Here's why this is so powerful. Every time you face rejection, it's a sign that you are actively engaging with life. You are putting yourself out there, testing your limits, and stepping into situations that are outside of your comfort zone. If you're not facing rejection at all, you're likely playing it too safe. You're probably not growing, you're not challenging yourself, and you're certainly not setting yourself up to become the best version of yourself. But the moment you start actively taking risks, whether it's making a business pitch, approaching someone you're interested in, or putting yourself out there for new opportunities, that's when rejection starts to show up. And this is exactly where the power lies. Rejection isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Rejection is inevitable. It's a universal experience. No one is immune to it. Even the most successful people in the world, whether in business, sports, or relationships, have faced rejection countless times. I remember one of the top entrepreneurs I admire, who shared that his journey included over 200 rejections before he finally got the opportunity that took his career to the next level. The difference between him and someone who quits at the first sign of rejection is simple. He didn't take it personally. He understood that it was part of the process, not a reflection of his worth. Rejection pushes you to improve. Think of rejection as a mirror that reflects what isn't working. It points out the areas where you can improve. Every time you get rejected, there's a lesson to be learned. Maybe your pitch wasn't compelling enough, or you didn't connect on the right level with the person, but these moments of feedback are gold. They allow you to fine-tune your approach. In the beginning, I used to take rejection as a sign to stop. It was discouraging and it made me feel small. But once I realized that each rejection was providing valuable information, it became a powerful tool for self-improvement. Rejection tests your resilience. You cannot develop true mental toughness without facing adversity. Rejection forces you to bounce back, adapt, and continue moving forward. The ability to recover quickly from setbacks is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. It's not just about toughing it out. It's about having the emotional intelligence to process the feelings of disappointment and then use them to fuel your next move. Rejection separates the committed from the casual. If you truly want something, whether it's a successful business, meaningful relationships, or any other goal, rejection is a test of your commitment. How badly do you want it? If rejection stops you in your tracks, it's a sign that your desire isn't strong enough to carry you through the inevitable challenges. But if you can get back up, learn from your experience, and keep pushing forward, you've shown yourself and the world that you are truly committed to your path. I've had many setbacks in both personal and professional areas. When I look back, the moments I truly grew were not the ones where everything went according to plan, but the moments where rejection forced me to dig deeper, work harder, and push my limits further. Rejection builds character. Think about how you feel after overcoming a rejection. The first time you get rejected, it might sting, But the more times it happens and the more you learn to move past it, the stronger you become. Over time, you develop a kind of resilience that can't be taught from books. It can only be earned through experience. And this in turn shapes your character. You develop confidence that isn't tied to external approval, but grounded in your internal ability to face challenges, learn from them, and keep moving forward. This is the kind of character that turns ordinary men into titans. Let me tell you about a time I faced rejection that was a turning point for me. Early on in my entrepreneurial journey, I had a business idea that I thought would be a game changer. I was passionate about it, and I truly believed it could succeed. I worked tirelessly to put together a proposal and pitch it to potential investors. I thought everything was in place, but when I presented it, the feedback I received was overwhelmingly negative. They weren't just saying no, they were questioning everything I had built, from the business model to my overall strategy. At first, I was devastated. The rejection felt personal, like a judgment on my abilities. But then something clicked. I realized that this wasn't a rejection of me. It was just a rejection of an idea that wasn't quite right yet. I could take their feedback, rework my pitch, and come back even stronger. Instead of being crushed, I saw it as an opportunity to learn. Over the next few months, I refined my idea, took their criticisms to heart, and reapproached the same investors with a much stronger proposal. The second time, I was not only accepted, but I was offered the support I needed to get my business off the ground. That experience taught me an invaluable lesson. Rejection is not a dead end. It's a checkpoint, a moment to reassess, improve, and move forward. Once you start seeing rejection as an opportunity for refinement rather than as an obstacle, you unlock the potential to transform setbacks into strengths. Now that you know the #1 secret to handling rejection like a pro, seeing it as part of the journey, not a reflection of your value, it's time to put it into practice. As you go forward, remember that every time you face rejection, you are one step closer to becoming the man you were meant to be. Don't let rejection hold you back. Instead, let it propel you forward. You are stronger than any setback you encounter, and with the right mindset, every rejection will only make you more resilient, more capable, and more successful.